Hello, and welcome to another installment of the Tolkien Collector's Guide's Hoarded Scrolls. This article is an introduction to Pearl, edited by E.V. Gordon and published posthumously by Ida Gordon, with contributions from J.R.R. Tolkien. It is a Middle English poem that is considered one of the most important surviving works of the English medieval period. This edition, published in 1953 by the Oxford University Press, contains a contribution from Professor Tolkien in part of the introduction, form, and purpose in the pages XI to XIX. Tolkien's contribution was reprinted in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Pearl and Sir Orfeo in 1975. With elements of medieval allegory from the dream vision genre, the poem is written in the Northwest Midlands variety of Middle English and is highly, though not consistently, alliterative. There is, among other stylistic features, a complex system of stanza linking. The poem survives in a single manuscript, and the real name of the Pearl poet or poets is unknown. What is known today about the poet is general. As Tolkien and Gordon, after reviewing the text's allusions, style, and themes, concluded in 1925, he was a man of serious and devout mind, though not without humor. He had an interest in theology, and some knowledge of it, though an amateur knowledge perhaps, rather than a professional. He had Latin and French, and was well enough read in French books, both romantic and instructive, but his home was in the West Midlands of England, so much his language shows, and his metre, and his scenery. E.V. Gordon was a contemporary of Tolkien's. The two collaborated on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the Battle of Maldon, and an introduction to Old Norse. Tolkien helped Gordon's widow, Ida, bring Pearl to publication after Gordon unexpectedly died in 1938. Published in June 11, 1953, in a run of 3,000 copies, the first edition is a navy hardback in a tan-colored dust jacket, with navy lettering and crest on the cover. It contains the frontispiece of the Dreamer lying on the flowery mound. The boards are navy, with the Oxford University Press symbol on the spine. The 186-page translation was reprinted in this format 2 times, in 1958 and 1963. The poem may be divided into 3 parts: an introduction or prologue, a dialogue between the 2 main characters, in which the Pearl instructs the narrator, and a description of the New Jerusalem with the narrator's awakening. A second edition was published in 1966 in nearly identical form to the first, but with a few minor changes, if however so subtle. Published as a hardback in a cream/light blue colored dust jacket with navy lettering and a crest on the cover. It still contains the frontispiece of the Dreamer lying on the flowery mound. The boards are navy, with the Oxford University symbol on the spine. This edition was reprinted twice, in 1970 and 1974, with an SBN added to 1970 and an ISBN added to the 1974. Death and transcendence are major themes in the poem. Outside of the parable of the workers in the vineyard, which we are presented in stanzas 42 through 60, we see notable references to another biblical passage, Matthew's Sermon on the Mount. There was a paperback edition published in the 1980s. Text is identical to the hardback volumes with the same introduction, translation, and frontispiece, published in a brown or coffee-colored binding with white lettering and reviews of the poem on the back cover. It was also reprinted twice in 1986 and 1988. Towards the close of the poem, we are given a hallucinatory description of the spiritual bliss which awaits the virtuous within this golden citadel situated on a hill of precious stones. Pearl is, and besides the symbolic on a sheer formal level, it is almost astounding in its complexity and is recognized to be, in the words of one prominent scholar, the most highly wrought and intricately constructed poem in Middle English. It is 1,212 lines long and has 101 stanzas of 12 lines each, with the rhyme scheme A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C. Death and transcendence are major themes in the poem, and Gordon's translation is a masterwork. Tolkien and Gordon worked very closely while at Leeds, and it's safe to say that Tolkien's influence on Gordon was quite strong. After Gordon arrived at Leeds, Tolkien wrote in his diary, "Eric Valentine Gordon has come and got firmly established and is my devoted friend and pal." Collecting Pearl is quite easy if you do not care which printing you get or of either the hardback or the paperback editions. First and early printings are somewhat hard to come by, especially with a good, well-preserved jacket, as many were discarded by libraries and other academic institutions of the time. The paperback is also easy to find, although finding volumes that are not listed with stock photos is a challenge.